Hey team, so today let's dive into the world of GitHub Actions. Now, if you're tired of manually running the same old scripts and workflows over and over again, it's time to join the Automation Club. Now, with GitHub Actions, you can build, test, and deploy your code with just a few clicks. None of that boring, repetitive tasks. So, hope you guys enjoy. Let's get into it. This is the script which we created last week. So if you all are new here, I'll link it up in the card somewhere, or else alternatively I'll also give a GitHub repo link. If you don't want to watch the video, you could just copy this code and you can continue on with the video. So to start off, let me just create a new file called cicd tweet.py, and I'll just copy in all of this, and we'll employ GitHub Actions with this script here. But there are some changes which we'll make. We don't have to actually prompt the user to type in anything, so I'll just remove all that, and I'll also fix the indentation error. Okay, so now what will happen is if I just execute this file, a tweet should be made to Twitter. Okay, so we don't have to touch this anymore. But in order to actually start with GitHub Actions, what we'll need is we'll need to create a new folder called .github, and inside that we'll have to create another folder called workflows. This is where all our files go in. Like if you want to create a workflow script, you'll have to create it under .github/workflows, and in here you create a new file called, let's call it tweet_auto.yml. so this is a YAML file. So now if I move to Firefox, this is the docs of GitHub Actions. If I go to their quick start GitHub quick start guide here, and if I just scroll down, it's all mentioned here. We just did this and this as well, just to show you all how this works. I'll explain what we are going to do, but for now let me just copy this and paste it right here, and I'll save everything. Let me see, we are getting an error. Okay, no error, good. So now what we'll do is let me just push this to GitHub. So it's git status git add and git commit with the m flag, and I'll say YAML added, hit enter, and I push it. So git push, this will push all our changes to GitHub. And if I go to my repository here, and if I refresh this and go to actions, there should be a workflow running for us. Now if I click one of those, I'll click the first one, and if I hit here, if I go here, it's the GitHub Actions is run here. So this is just a basic demo which they provide us on how actually it works. But now let us actually implement this script to go here. Okay, so that's what we'll do. The first thing which you have to give to this workflow is the name. So the name basically means the name of the workflow. So let us call this one run Python script on push. You would give a more meaningful name, but I'll just keep it like this. And the next one is, instead of this one run name, we'll give on. So on basically means when should this workflow run. So in this case what they provide is when it pushes. So we'll also do the same, but we'll give some other parameters like the branch. So make sure the indentation is correct. So here push, so this workflow should run only when we make pushes. You could also alternatively say pull. So this workflow would run only on pull requests. but in our case we'll use push. So push. And then you could also mention the branch. So branches, and in our case it's main. So if I go back to here, if I go to our code here, we have just one branch, which is main. But if you had another branch called, let's say, tweet feature, you would, and if you want to run workflows on that, you would mention it here. Like you could go tweet tweet feature. You could do that as well. Okay, I'll make sure keep a spacing here. Okay, so this would run whenever there's a push to tweet feature or main. But in our case, we just have one branch which is called main, so we'll stick to that. Next is the jobs. So jobs basically are a set of steps, and steps basically are code that is to be run in the GitHub Actions. So the next parameter which you have to provide is jobs, and in that I'll clear this out and say we'll have to provide a name for this job, which is run Python script, let's say. So this parameter is basically the name of the jobs. Next is runs on Ubuntu latest. Now what is this? If I go back to the docs here, this is basically the OS of the virtual machine. So you could optionally provide it with other virtual machines, which are basically, I think it is Windows and Mac OS. It is somewhere here. So this is, we've used Ubuntu latest. You could also use Windows latest. If I go here, Windows latest, or else you could also give Mac OS latest, and they all of them have some. If I scroll on top here, okay, so a bit down, these are all the specs of each of the virtual machine, but in our case we'll stick to Ubuntu latest. So next is the steps. So step is basically a list of actions that are to be carried out. So in the example which they provided, the command which they ran was echo. So basically print the job was automatically triggered by the GitHub event name so and so. But we don't need all of this. We don't need none of this. So I'll clear all of that out. Next, we'll give our name. So name is basically the name of the current task that is to be given. So this is name, and let's say check out code. This is basically anything you could name. This I'll name it as checkout code. And next here under this, I will make sure my spacing is correct. Uses, and I'll give actions. It was checkout at v2. So basically what this does is it takes the latest code from the commit which was recently made. So if I hover and command and click here, this is the repository which will be used to set up to get the code from here. So we get the latest code from our GitHub. So this is the code which we give. Next up is again we give another thing called name. This is another step. So this basically gets the latest code from our repository, and then what we need to do is set up Python. So we have to set up Python in our virtual machine, and again the next is uses. So this basically creates the environment for us. Uses actions setup at not at, this will be Python v2, so version 2. Again, this is another repo. If I just click here, okay, this doesn't exist. Why? I think, okay, this should be at v2. That's why it didn't exist. If I go here, I'll just cross this out. Yeah, so this is the repository which will be used to set up the GitHub action workflow for a particular Python version. So next, what we'll have to give is with. So this is to specify the version of the Python which we'll be using. So Python version, let's say 3.x, and x basically is a wildcard for getting the latest patch of this version. So whatever is there in this repository, the latest version will be taken. So that is what this line of code does. Alternatively, if you were using Node, this would be let me show you how it would be for Node. I'll just copy this, I'll paste it right here. I'm getting this indentation error. Okay, so I'll call it setup node, and this will be set up, instead of Python at v2, it will be set up node at v2, and again instead of Python version we'll say node version. I think it is, let's just go for 14.x. so this will get the it will set up a node environment for us, but for our use case we are using Python. Okay, next up is again the next task that we need for the virtual machine to run is to install all the dependencies. So install, we'll call it install dependencies, never mind the spelling error, and in that what we want to is run a command which is pip install the R flag requirements.txt. so this command basically tells to install all the dependencies that are there in this file here. So all of this will get installed. After that, what we can do is next we can run our Python script. So again name, so the task name would be run Python script, and in there we want to run a command, so run, and let's say Python CICD underscore tweet what was it, tweet.py, let's call it. And I can see I've made an error somewhere. Okay, so I've misspelled the name here, so I'll just call it CICD, continuous integration and development. That's what it stands for. And now this matches, so CICD underscore tweet.py. so I'm getting this script here, so that will run all the script for us. Next step is, as you all know, we are using if I go on top here, we're using a bunch of these environment variables. So we need to somehow load it in our virtual environment. So for that we'll have to go back to our GitHub repo here. I'll just close all of this and this as well. And to set up our environment variables, what you have to do is go to settings and go down, secrets and variables, and go to actions. In here you can set up your environment secrets here. So let me just say new repo secrets, and now if I go to my env, let me just resize this appropriately. Okay, so now let me go to env and I'll just copy paste all the keys and values. So instead of you all waiting, I'll just do this and come back. I have added all the environment variables in this file .env over here. So access token, Twitter access token, all of these. Now as this is loaded in our repo in the actions part, now we can get that here. Give env property, and here you could just give in all of your let me just fix this indentation error. There's an error probably. Okay, so the error is gone now. Okay, so I've given in all the env variables that we'll be using. So this over here, the key should be the same as here, what you've provided here. And this to load those env variables from the repo, what you have to do is secrets dot access token. So if I go back here, secrets dot access token, again this will be secrets dot Twitter API key, which is here. So this will be loaded from here. So we've created our script. So this is all we need. Let me save this now. Let me push this. So if I push this now, I've mentioned here this workflow should run only when we make pushes to the main branch. So let's check whether what we've done is correct or not. So let's say git status, and I'll add all the file. So git add dot, which means all file, git commit, and say workflow. Okay, I forgot to give the m flag, and say workflow added. I'll hit enter, and git push, hit enter, go back to my repo here, and let me go back to the code. There should be an orange dot here, which means it's the actions is going on. If I go to actions tab, yeah, so this is our workflow which is being executed. I'll go inside it, and yeah, it's running. Let me click run Python script, and in here you can see all the names of the task which we gave, and right now it's running the script here. Let's check whether we are getting error or not. Yeah, okay, so we got an error. Let's see what the error says. So if I go here and say, okay, you are not allowed to tweet with a duplicate content. Okay, I see what that is. So if I go back here, I'll just delete it, because before recording I actually, just to check whether everything is correct, I pushed it before. So I've deleted my repo, no, not repo, sorry, the tweet. So now I shouldn't be getting this error. Let me again do the same thing. So let's say git, so to make changes now, let's say add another dot here, hit save. So git status, git add, git commit, flag, let's say this, let's give some random thing, and I'll push it, hit enter. Okay, it's pushed it. Let me go back and refresh this. This is the previous one. Let me go to the latest workflow. So if I go here, yeah, so works. This is the commit, the name of the commit which I gave, runs Python script, and yeah, it's running. And yeah, I'm getting this, I forgot to mention this. Okay, it's run for us. So as you can see, all the tasks have been completed. And if I go to my Twitter account, this is just a development account. If you want to ask me questions, you can just go here. And if I refresh this, this was 18 hours ago. This was the last post which was made. If I refresh it, fingers crossed, and yeah, 26 seconds ago. So tweet was made by executing this file from this workflow. Congratulations. If you've actually coded alongside with me, that was your first workflow which you created. And if you have any problems, you can contact me via through Twitter, through the comment section below. And thanks for watching.